Have you ever had frustration or maybe rage exploded? You were fine, and then all of a sudden you went from 0 to 10 just like that. A rage gauge is what I call that. Have you ever experienced internally where you just wanted to drop into the floor and just like, oh my gosh, I could just die? All of those things are a sign of magnesium deficiency because magnesium is a natural relaxant. And sometimes is what can happen is we can experience an emotion and then our body gets stuck in the emotion because we don't have enough magnesium to process it through. Magnesium actually helps us process our emotions. Now, oh, let me switch to comments over here. Now, confession time. I had such a rage gauge when my children were younger. I could go from 0 to 10. And people would say, oh, you have a choice. You know, you need to make better choices. And I beg to differ because I wouldn't even realize that I was in a rage until after I was done. And I'd look around at these little faces that were showing the consequences of a mom that lost it. And I wish I would have known about magnesium then. I wish I would have understood the role that magnesium plays in your glutamate activity. Glutamates excite the brain. They're hard, not excite in a good way. They overstimulate the brain. Glutamates are found in foods. People who have a hard time with MSG are almost always very magnesium deficient because MSG has glutamate in it. And then if they already have glutamates, it's too much. And so their body responds to the MSG. So we want those glutamate receptors cleaned out, and magnesium does that. And magnesium helps, you know, you've got that corpus callosum that runs right through the middle of my bun, that runs right through the middle of your head. And you've got your left and right hemisphere that work together. And when you have enough magnesium, those impulses go back and forth and you're working with your whole brain, versus when you don't have enough magnesium, you don't have that connectivity happening. And we need that connection happening. You need it for emotional intelligence. And for example, people who blurt, that can be a magnesium deficiency. Now, am I saying that it's going to heal everything to get your magnesium levels up? Absolutely not. I am saying I had some patterns that I needed to heal to let go of my rage gauge, which is gone. That is not something I experience anymore. So do a little happy dance there. I not only had to get my mineral status up, I had to heal some broken patterns. We've talked about broken patterns. There are 4, and they feed into each other. We need to heal those broken patterns, but we also need to give our brain what it needs, the nutrients that it needs to make sure that it can have the best nutritional choices, nutritional input to make the best choices. We need to make sure. Oh, Shelley, and that's why I want to be really clear that magnesium, I'm not saying it's going to cure all of this, because you still have to focus on patterns. Shelley, I still interrupt people. And every single day, oh, we got a puppy barking out there. Every single day, I focus on, in the morning, and literally all the time, I focus on today, I am listening and not blurting. and I still blurt. I'm a work in progress on that. Some days I do really good. In fact, a great thing for me has been being on podcasts. I was on 2 podcasts today, and some podcasts I don't even pass along because it's basically the same podcast over and over. And you guys have heard them before, Magnesium, soak, all that kind of stuff. Sometimes you get to be on a podcast that the podcast host truly has the skills to ask different questions and go in different places, because you hand them like a one sheet with questions that they can ask. And sometimes they're really skilled. So last week I was on with a doctor from Buffalo, New York, and she was she was an attorney, incredibly skilled at asking questions. So as soon as that one launches, I will share it. Today I was on with a surgeon. She was amazing, and I can't wait for you to meet her. And then this afternoon, I was on with a woman who, like me, is into a little out of the box, taking your power back, healing patterns to create better health. And she was amazing too. So I've got 3 podcasts coming up in the next about 6 weeks that I will be adding in my feed. And the podcasts really help me because I do not want to blurt on a podcast and interrupt the person. I mean, I never want to do that, especially on a podcast. And so the podcasts have really helped me. The magnesium has helped me also. In fact, it's one of, daily leaning in. There you go, daily leaning in. It's one of those things that is my indicator when my magnesium is dropping low, is my blurting increases, because that right and left brain aren't working as well together. Now, for somebody else, that might not be an indicator. For me, that's an indicator. And one of the things I wanted to talk about today, as we talk about magnesium and the importance, that the role that it plays in emotional intelligence, was talking about rage and shame. And we know that, externally, if you would have been around me back when I had my rage gauge, you would have known, like, oh, Kristen's out of control right now. She's raging. And you would have known shame is its silent partner, because you get the same downside from shame, but nobody around you knows that you're experiencing that shame. So I like to think of rage as an external manifestation and shame as an internal manifestation. And so we have to focus on both of those to make sure that we keep our magnesium burn rate very low, because I don't want to be soaking in magnesium every day. I want to be out there doing the things that are my why of why I create health. And today I was on that podcast and we talked. It's so important that you know your why, so that you're making decisions based on your why. And I soak in magnesium not just to create health. I don't want to be, and I think we probably all know those people that, they're healthy, but it's all they do all day. I don't want to be that person. I have been that person. And I realized this is not the life I want. I haven't created this in a way that I want. And so not only do we have the opportunity to create health, but we have the opportunity to create it in a way that supports our dreams and our goals. So I want to create health to support me doing other things. Like in a week or 2, I'm taking off to go be on my own with grandkids for a full-on week. That's why I create health, so that I can do that and be on my knees and climb trees and run and tackle and do all those fun things that the grandkids will want me to do. That's my why. And so if you've been part of our Magnesium 30-day challenge, I hope you're not only taking away how important it is to do the 30-day challenge, but I hope you're taking away other things too. And I'd love for you to share with me in the comments what things have been most powerful to you that you're taking away. I'm really evaluating, because let me tell you, the comments and the shares, that's what fuels the lives. I love doing them. But even more than that, I love knowing that they're helping you. And then that helps me of where to go next. And so your comments, and especially the shares, help me to know, oh, okay, that one was beneficial. And so I'm thinking for the rest of September that we'll do a September self-care, and we'll do some things that will really boost and take care of yourself. Because as women, we tend to put everybody else first. And to create optimal health, you just simply have to choose yourself first. And guess what? Nobody is going to come around and do it for you. Nobody. And for some of you, it may be so uncomfortable to put yourself first. You may just be like, oh, this isn't right. I've got to help, but you have to be willing to put yourself first. Now, the balance is totally up to you. Next week, the next 2 weeks, when I'm with little ones, I will be putting myself first in very different ways that I put myself first at home with just my husband and I. So you have to create, but remember that's what it's about. If you want to create health, you also have the opportunity of, how do I create this health, and how do I make it look for the season of life that I'm in? Because I'm not in the season of life with little kids around me. It's my husband and I take care of Louie, the puppy. And so I will put myself first in other ways when I'm with grandkids. So I think that's a really important thing to look at. But let's hop back to the shame and the rage. Oh, you went hiking, Pat. That is fabulous. Oh, that's like happy dance. That is fabulous. Oh, Pat's a member of our Core 7, and that is amazing. That is absolutely amazing, Pat. I am over the moon that you went hiking. And so, Pat, I think it's fair to say you're like me. You don't want to spend your whole life just getting healthy. You're getting healthy to do other things. And I love hiking too. Oh, love hiking. Okay, so let's go back to the shame and rage. And I think this week, and it usually comes up over a holiday weekend. And so weekends for a lot of women are a little bit tougher to stick to your plan. It's a little bit more fluid in structure. Not everybody, but some people. It seems like a 3-day weekend really can throw people under the bus. And I've been noticing it a lot in the groups of women that I work with. They didn't eat perfectly. They didn't sleep perfectly. Oh, I love that. Helping with all of it. Sunrise, sunset, boom. I'm so excited. Tonight, I am going to go explore a new place for my sunset. Usually I go down by the ocean because I love to watch that sunset into the ocean, but I'm going to go to a different place tonight. So we'll see how it goes. But I want to talk about that shame and rage, because the holiday and how you handled that is a direct correlation to how you handle shame and rage, shame and or rage. So to create health, the ability to get back on track is one of the most powerful tools. And it's like developing a muscle. You need to develop that muscle. And so the ability to get back on track without shame, and almost, not every, but almost every single time when someone is discouraged about getting back on track, It's perfectionism, right? Like, oh, I didn't do it perfect. Okay, I give up. I didn't do it perfect, which is perfectionism and the all or nothing pattern. All or nothing feeds into perfectionism. But let's talk about where perfectionism comes from. It stems from shame. And so when you get feedback from your body, feedback in what your temperature is, feedback what your weight is, feedback what your fasting insulin number, your glucose numbers are, your insulin number is, feedback on all of those different things that we can pull from our body. If there's frustration or disappointment, that's a pathway straight to shame. And my goal, and I'd love to know your thoughts on this. I've never really talked about it this way. So a lot of times I've talked about something so much, like I know what some of the responses will be just because the same ones come up a lot. And I would love to know your thoughts on this. If you're getting that feedback, like you stood on those scales because you wanted feedback, and then the feedback wasn't what you wanted, and you're frustrated, or it changes your day, or you don't feel as good about yourself, or you don't feel as motivated, that's perfectionism. And we're not going to get rid of that until we let go of the shame. Okay. Now, Sandra, here's something that I think is really powerful that will help. Our words create our experience. And so when you say, so it's really hard for me, we are so powerful that you just created it to be harder, because our bodies are aligned to be in truth with what we're saying. And so when we say, this is so hard, we're going to experience the hard because our bodies want to be in truth. And so watching those words. So one of the things I caught myself on this week, Sandra, is Monday, Tuesdays. I call them Monday, Tuesday starts to the week, when Monday was a holiday, but Tuesday's the first day back to work. Like, I forgot to do the live last night. It was a Monday, Tuesday kind of day for me. And I heard it come out of my mouth numerous times. Monday, Tuesdays are so hard. They always throw me. Well, what am I doing? I'm absolutely cementing in that when there's Monday holidays, my Tuesdays are always hard, because my body is going to create my thoughts that came out as words. And so it's so important as we're healing that we're really watching what we're saying. And Sandra, I hope you don't feel picked on. In fact, I'm going to go to another comment so you don't feel like, oh my gosh, she's focused on what I wasn't doing. As we upgrade our thoughts, and one of the things we talked about in depth today on the podcast was, I don't chase health. I don't chase things. I won't. I spent my life chasing things, and I won't do it. If, go back to our 100 energy points, how many energy points are you spending chasing health? I attract health. I do things that naturally bring health to me. And it's such a difference when you make that transition from chasing to attracting. Think of it, money is the same way. I don't chase money. I attract money. Relationships are the same way. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I thank you for being so gracious and not, thank you. Thank you for that. And so as we're listening to the words that come out of our mouth so we can course correct them, the beautiful thing that happens is we quit judging other people. Because when we judge other people, not only is it an absolute indicator of us more than them, but we're projecting on them. So, for example, I threw out a text that said, I didn't eat so perfectly on the weekend. And the responses I got were so interesting because a lot of people projected on what I ate. Oh, you ate this or you ate this. Well, they were telling me what they had done, not what I had done. So, what I had done is the timing of my foods were off. And for my body, timing of food is as critical as the food that goes in my mouth. And so that's what had gotten off for me is the timing. A lot of people assumed, and some assumed I ate ice cream, some assumed I had and so I would ask them back and I'd say, did you have that? Oh, yeah. So they were projecting on me. And when we project, we're judging other people and we're pushing away that accountability that we have to take for ourselves to create better health. Taking that accountability and holding it squarely is crucial to creating more health. And taking accountability for the words that we say, because changing our words, our thoughts ultimately, right? Because our thoughts become words. If you said it at one point, you had to think it. And so taking more responsibility, we do less projecting on other people because we're so caught up in listening and upgrading our own personal thoughts. And I can't tell you how many women who start doing that, they'll come back and say, I have so many more connections with other people. And I'll say, well, why do you think that is? And they'll say, because I was kinder to be around because I was so focused on my thoughts instead of judging people. And really, when you think about it, people don't remember so much what you say, they remember what it felt like to be around you. And even if you don't say the judgmental thoughts, people know, like, when you give somebody that we call it at our house, the elevator, and women do this all the time. And they'll start at the top and they'll look all the way down to your shoes. And then they'll go all the way back up. And after they've gone down and up, they gave you the elevator, if you passed their inspection or not. I have asked so many classes if they've had that done. Pretty much everybody raises their hand. And I say, did you enjoy the experience? And across the board, it's a no, we did not. Well, you don't have to say a single word if you're giving someone what I call the elevator look. No verbal words are coming out of your mouth, but they know. They know. And so when you start really focusing on taking more accountability and more responsibility for your words and your thoughts, you have less room to judge someone else, and they start actually enjoying being around you. And remember, when you judge, you're judging it through your own filter. You're judging it through what you're doing, not about them. And so it's a really powerful way to course correct when you experience shame and or rage, because when you experience those things, when you stand on the scale, when you get your numbers back, even if the scale went up, can you still celebrate? Your body gave you feedback. Your insulin numbers, your body gave you feedback. Let's learn to look at that with neutrality. And so when we look at that as data to make different decisions to get to where we want to go versus I'm good or I'm bad. Because if we're allowing the data to determine our worth, we're steeped in shame. And shame is a place of fight or flight, and no healing happens in fight or flight. And so a beautiful way to change that is by changing your thoughts. So one of the things that I do at the end of, not every day, but most days, especially Monday through Friday, at the end of Monday through Friday days, I will just write. I'll look back and I'll think about my conversations, just like this quick little overview. And I'll think, what were powerful conversations and what were weak conversations? And so today I did that. And I had a really weak conversation of saying, oh, Tuesdays are so hard for me. Now I can say something like, I'm learning how to navigate Tuesdays after a Monday holiday. Do you see the difference there? One is very negative and creating my experience to be the same, where the other one is stating a fact and opening up the opportunities that it can change. And it takes work to change those thoughts. It's those tiny little micro steps that you don't really think are making a difference until you wake up one day and go, oh my goodness, my internal dialogue is completely different. I've made massive changes in my body, and it helps you walk away from shame. It helps you truly love yourself more. And think about it. If you're not loving yourself, how can you offer something to someone else if you don't have it? So, for example, if you're coughing and I have my hydro flask and it has no water in it, but I offer it to you, I had none to offer you, right? Well, your level to love other people is completely dependent upon how much you've built that muscle to love yourself. And so, a lot of times you'll hear women say, oh, I love my kids so much. Yes, you do, but you're limited by how well you treat yourself and how much grace you give yourself and how much respect you give yourself and how hard you are on yourself. You see them through the same glasses. And so for me, when I understood that concept, it was incredibly motivating because I wanted my kids to know I love you pretty much no matter, well, I love you no matter what. I may not agree with choices, but I love you no matter what. And I wanted them to deeply experience that. I had to give that to myself, just like the water bottle. I had to have water in my bottle before I could hand that to them to experience. So Self-Care September to me is not about getting your nails painted, although that's a great thing to do. And I love going and getting a mani-pedi. It's about really upgrading your internal level of dedication to yourself, upgrading your thoughts, upgrading the words that you say, upgrading how you treat yourself, how you lay your boundaries. So, for example, I have a new boundary. And as Shelly and I worked today, we recognized there's going to be some people that don't like this boundary. As the business grows, I need larger chunks of time to work on some different things that are happening with the growth of the business. And so before, I've always, whenever a podcaster had time, I took the time they had and I did it. And now I will be saying, I can't remember what day it was. Oh, I think it was Thursday. Anyway, was it Thursday, Shelly? Shelly will tell me. Open to continuing the upgrades. That is a beautiful, I love that. I am open to continuing the upgrades. So Shelly and I picked out a day today that will be the only day, and I love to stack podcasts. So I just get enough flow as I'm doing them. So I'll do 3 podcasts on that one day. And if they can't do that day, we will say, oh, we wish maybe at a later date we can connect. This is the only day. So I'm creating that new boundary. I'm upgrading my boundaries to keep everything balanced. And that boundary may not work for other people, and how they handle the boundary will be a reflection on how well they hold their boundaries. And so Self-Care September that we're going to go into will be all about those types of things. Oh, Wednesdays. I knew you'd know it, Shelley. Wednesdays. At one point didn't we say it was going to be Thursday? I think. Yeah, so I think we kind of played with it a couple times. Maybe I was totally up in the night. But the beautiful thing about making those changes, and they're tiny. They're the tiniest changes, but they put you in a completely different realm when it comes to health. And it's not like you're going to make a change and boom, the health is going to just happen. It's little change, little change, little change, little change. And then all of a sudden you look back and you go, I'm a different person. I have reworked myself from the inside out. And my magnesium burn rate is lower. It requires less soaking because I have not imperfectly taken action on upgrading the quality of my thoughts, upgrading the quality of my relationships, upgrading the quality of my connections, upgrading the quality of the food that I eat. I've recently just gone through a really a big step for me in upgrading some things that I'm ingesting in my mouth, some supplements and some food, and what a difference that's made for me. And so Self-Care September will be all about those upgrades and really taking self-care not as a diva kind of moment, like, oh, I'm such a diva, but as I'm doing this to show up for other people as the best version of me. And if you're experiencing shame or rage or perfectionism or all or nothing, you're not showing up as the best version of you for the people that you love the most. And I want to be the best version of me. So I would love to know, what are your takeaways? What was the most powerful thing that we talked about tonight as we talked about the component of magnesium being a natural relaxant for rage and shame? It helps you, it's the chill pill mineral, and it helps you relax. Now, I did not say magnesium is going to cure your pattern of shame or your pattern of rage, but it is going to help you put things into place. I would love to know, what was your takeaway for tonight? I'm going to get a little bit of water. I can hear my voice. So, what are your thoughts? What was the most powerful part for you on understanding that when you don't have enough magnesium, you can actually get stuck in the emotion because your body can't process it through? Your brain's not connecting to get it to a different part of your brain to let it go. Oh, Shelley says, filling myself up first allows me to easily share with others. I absolutely love that, Shelley, and thank you so much for that feedback. We are on day 25 of our Magnesium 30-day soaking challenge. I'd love to know what day you're on and how your soaking is going. Oh, and so that you don't forget, today is the last day, and I believe the coupon code is WORK15 at Walk-In Labs. Oh, self-care for better relationships with others. I love that. I can hear my negative comments, plan my life, being more aware, right? We don't want to plan with that negativity. And that's a high magnesium burn rate, Pat. That's somebody who has to soak in magnesium all the time. And so today is the last day they extended. I know our bath bomb sale ends today. The coupon code is, oh, what is it? Oh, bath 20 for 20% off 20% off of our bath bombs. That was our little Labor Day sale that went out to our newsletter on Monday, and that ends tonight. And Walk-In Labs did the same thing. They extended their Labor Day sale to today is their last day. And so if you use coupon code WORK15 on Walk-In Labs, it's 15% off any lab that you buy. But beware, you only have a 6-month window, and that lab has to be used within 6 months or you lose it. So, love being with you tonight. Excited for tomorrow and our day 26. We're coming to the close of our 30-day challenge. I've loved doing it. I've loved being with you, and we'll hang out tomorrow. Bye-bye.